Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. If you're feeling extra cheeky and on mobile, you can hit that hype button as well. Much love guys, and now let's crack on with today's first story, which comes from Aggressive Bet 1198, and it says, am I the arsehole here for telling my soon-to-be sister-in-law that I don't want to host her brother over the wedding weekend? So I, 42 female, have been asked to host part of my brother's, Brian, 38 male, fiance's family for their upcoming wedding next weekend. We call the fiance Diane. She's 39 female. They've been together almost 5 years. First of all, my brother isn't the sharpest tool in the shed. He has fallen for lie after lie and still doesn't really see the lies, and years of a fake persona and manipulative behavior. For example, she lied that she couldn't get pregnant in the beginning, literally said her uterus had been removed. Then why are you having a period, psycho? They now have a 4-year-old and 2-year-old. Still, these were miracle pregnancies. She told him they were ectopic tube pregnancies. Apparently, my bro cannot use Google, nor does he believe countless family and friends who have told him this was impossible to give birth from an ectopic pregnancy. He works a lot and was never able to get an OB appointment, and even if he did, he likely wouldn't have asked the doc. In the end, he said he loves her, and it doesn't matter. Okay dude, fine, we'll be happy for you and our nephews. Needless to say, I am, and much of our family, are not fond of Diane. She is a user of the highest order, disposing of people like Kleenex once their usefulness has expired. I've watched her manipulate my parents, my bro, my sister, her own friends and family. It's just been gross when I've had to deal with her at family holiday events, weddings, funerals, just ew. Now, they are finally getting married next weekend. They've been planning this for about 6 months as she is a huge Halloween fanatic, but doesn't want to share her anniversary with Halloween Day. It's not a huge event, about 50 people, mostly our family and some of hers. Her brother, his wife and 4 kids cannot afford a hotel. This is something Diane has known about for months, but just asked me last night if they could stay with us since I have the biggest house. This is an unreasonable and undesirable situation for me for a multitude of reasons. 1, I live almost 3 hours away from the venue, and the town they will be hosting events such as final dress fittings, rehearsal dinner, bachelor and bachelorette parties. That will be a lot of back and forth for them, especially since my kids and I, plus my +1, are only invited to the wedding and reception. They couldn't even carpool with us because we aren't attending those events. 2, kids under 13 are not invited to the wedding or reception. Assuming all the adults and my teens will be at the wedding, who's going to watch their kids? 1, 4, 5, and 9. And where will they go during the festivities? My kids are attending their uncle's wedding. We're going to support my brother and see our other family members. So if the plan is to see if I or one of my kiddos, 17, 16, and 15 will do it, the answer is no. 3, I've met these people once in passing. I know nothing about them at all, and if they're anything like their sister, well, I don't want to. Aside from that, there's the whole trusting strangers in my home with my kids as well. Nope. 4, why exactly can't they stay with Diane's parents? They have a 3-bedroom home and live alone. Why can't they host their son and grandson? Answer, he and his dad don't get along, and since her dad is the only decent person in her family that I have met and liked, that's a red flag for me. I told Diane and my brother that I'm really not comfortable with this, and the response was, please, it's family. Ugh. My boyfriend, weird to say boyfriend at my age, said he would stay with us all weekend if I was uncomfortable having them there alone, and would help out since I will also be expected to properly host, which means cooking for everyone, etc. That's great and would help with the uncomfortable part for sure. But even still, aside from the trust issues I have, I'm primarily worried about where their kids will be during everything. The response was, we're still figuring that out. After that, I doubled down on the no, since I have visions of them saying the 9-year-old could just babysit 1, 4, and 5-year-old at my house. My family is 50-50 on me being an asshole about it, and Diane's family, except their parents, also think I'm being an arsehole since it's just one weekend, and I usually host all the holidays and such. They will say I'm being a snob about it, and I'm out of touch because I cannot appreciate their financial struggles. Up until a decade ago, I was exactly in their shoes monetarily. I don't care that they don't have Bezos' money. I care that they are strangers. Someone in my house will likely be expected to babysit and miss the ceremony, or be expected to babysit all weekend while their parents are out partying. And the fact that there is family tension between them and their parents is giving me anxiety about what I can expect from my potential guests. Am I being an arsehole? Now, of course, absolutely not the arsehole in this situation. The absolute audacity of it all is absolutely stunning. Your brain is telling you no because there's a whole bunch of red flags. First, hosting all these, including 4 kids was it, for an entire weekend, which sounds like it could be absolutely awful anyway. In a house that's 3 hours from all the wedding events, there's no plan for childcare as yet, which, for me, I feel like I can already see what's going to happen. It's exactly what OP's saying. But they're going to turn around last minute and go, oh no, we wasn't able to do that. Could your kids just watch them? And you have to cook and do all this stuff to host them. And this is all on what? A week's notice? And again, I feel you're right. They're hoping that you're going to figure it out for them in terms of childcare. But within the same post before the comments, OP added another update and says, I've been getting bombarded with calls and texts from Diane and my brother, which I ignored until about an hour ago. I calmly asked, what's up, when I answered. I could hear the panic in her voice as she rushed to berate me for being so cruel while she had so much else to deal with. Lady, I work full time, travel for work, have 2 kids playing high school football, have 2 kids who have part-time jobs, and I'm a single mum. I don't exactly have an easy schedule and free time myself. She went on to say that she had been so sure that I would be willing to help, babysit her family that no one else wants around, it seems. That she already promised them that they could stay in the pool house. Let's be clear, the pool house has a bathroom, a large living area, a tiny kitchenette. It's barely the size of a primary bedroom, let alone big enough for 6 people. It's not some extravagant space. I told her, sorry, that's not my problem. You should have asked first. I also have the kids and I booked at the XYZ hotel because I planned to drink at the wedding, and I'm not driving home after that. How did you plan to get them to my house anyway? Are they renting a car? Who's babysitting? Why can't your parents take the kids if the issue is with your brother? Why would he bring them if he couldn't afford them anyway? This is some seriously poor planning. I fired those questions off at her like bullets out of a gun. She said this was dumped on her and she was stuck. I said, so you thought I was the best choice to dump this on to take it off your plate? We aren't exactly close, Diane. Please stop asking me. I'm not going to do this for you. My answer is final. Sorry, not sorry. We're uninvited to the wedding. I don't believe my brother will allow that, but if it comes to pass that we don't get to go, good riddance. So a commenter said to OP, you are absolutely not the arsehole here, and I wouldn't let them into my house either. What if the kids steal your jewelry? What's to prevent the adults from going through your papers and stealing your identity? Best case scenario is that they eat everything in your house, drink all your alcohol, and leave you a major mess to clean up. It's your home. If they're struggling so much financially, why are they coming? It's one thing to host an adult couple, but this is a whole pack of people who will expect you to host and pay their way, and probably use your car. Why aren't the grandkids staying with Diane's parents if the issue is with the son? There's something fishy here. These are complete strangers whose own family don't want to host them. Why should you? Stand your ground, lady. No means no, and maybe the family members who don't like your decision can take them in. OP responds saying, I agree with all of this, and it's why the situation is giving me pause. I've even considered offering to pay for 2 hotel rooms for them near the wedding venue. But I know that will get twisted back around me being a terrible person who is above her family or some shit, or likely set a precedent that I'll pay for things and solve their problems. I love that. Please, it's family. Well, it's not OP's family, so that doesn't count. Not the arsehole. I think you're really smart not letting yourself be manipulated. Of course, she'll probably get everyone she can to hound you. So just stay off social media and text, not your concern, to anyone who texts you or sends emailed guilt trips. OP replies saying, oh yes, that's already happening. The hounding. I'm proud of myself for not snapping anyone's fucking head off yet. I really just want to book them a hotel, but then again, that's still me solving their problem. I texted my other brother who lives out of state and asked him where he's staying when he comes into town. They have a hotel in that town. I'm currently in the process of begging him and his family to come stay with me. I think I may have averted this crisis. Someone says what about the hotel near the venue? Cheaper than a 3-hour drive from the brother and his family. Opie says, God, yes, not to mention, they would need to rent a car if they stayed out at my place. If they stayed in a cheap hotel in town, they would not be able to catch rides to events and whatnot with their local family members. Seems so simple to me. Gotta say, I'm curious as fuck about why their family has blackballed them, and who in the hell I pissed off that my punishment is being the chosen one to deal with them. It's not happening. Many have valid points that even we aren't going to want to drive 3 hours home after the wedding and reception. I booked us rooms for the night of the wedding. Opie on having security for her house if the family tries to show up. Opie says fortunately our road has a gate, and before the gate was put on the road last season, our driveway had a gate. We live in a touristy area in the summer. They won't get too close and I plan to ignore my phone. I feel like the most horrible person to turn kids away at night, but I can do it if necessary. I suppose I should text Diane and be very clear if they show up, they will be stuck. There are no taxis, most places to stay are Airbnbs or small bed and breakfast type places. If they cannot afford a day's inn near the venue town, no way can they afford one of those places around here. Actually, I get in touch with their dad. I know he or his wife will make it understood to them, and if they show in the area, ignore. So it was soon after this that Opie came in with their next update and said, so my soon-to-be sister-in-law called me and invited us back to the wedding today. Wedding is Saturday. I could tell it was a very forced action on her part. Not an ounce of sincerity in her apology, nor any mention that she was in the wrong, save for overreacting in the heat of the moment. I had already spoken to my kiddos about what they wanted to do and their thoughts on it if they were to re-invite us, and they were all of the same mindset as me. Fuck that. So we made other plans for the weekend. I passed this along to her and she had the audacity to say, oh well, then you guys can babysit, right? I literally laughed and told her to fuck off. She started crying and saying that I never gave her a chance. I've always been so mean to her. And she doesn't know what she's ever done to me, blah blah blah. I not so gently acknowledged that I never gave her the opportunity to pull the wool over my eyes because I'm smarter than her. But I have watched her quietly manipulate almost everyone in my family in some way or another. My brother is angry with her because we're not coming, and it was her responsibility to make it right, and she completely blew it. To be fair, my bro hasn't communicated to me once personally about the incident, and that kinda pisses me off too. Like, you couldn't tell me you don't feel the same, and you would like us to come. I've got my dad saying, of course he wants you guys there, he is so pissed off at Diane. Okay, Pops. So that's all, folks. We'll be spending our weekend at Michigan versus Michigan State football game and tailgating with the best fans in the state. Hashtag hail, hashtag go blue. I assume they're football hashtags. Commenter said to OP, other than saying she didn't believe she could have children over 5 years ago, which really is none of your business. How has she caused family drama? How has she manipulated people? You're not the arsehole because you can decide who can and can't stay at your house, but you do come off as a cold bitch who probably didn't give her a chance. OP says, this isn't a she didn't believe she could have them and lucked out type of situation. She baby trapped my brother by saying she had her uterus removed. No one without a uterus can ever get pregnant, and an ectopic pregnancy is 1 in a million fallopian tube pregnancy that results in the death of the fetus and possible death for the mother. Neither of these things are possible at all. There was no misunderstanding. She lied and manipulated them. None of my business? Maybe not, but it surely shows the type of person she is. I did give her an honest try. She wasn't my cup of tea for sure, but I didn't give up on her until the baby drama and all of that has transpired. She told my parents she has stage 3 ovarian cancer, but her insurance wouldn't allow her to pursue treatment unless she had a dedicated care person. My dad quit his job to provide that for her. There were all kinds of mishaps. He never got training, never got paid, etc, etc. 3 months later, she admitted she didn't have cancer, just didn't want to be alone all the time. So my dad took an early retirement for nothing. I don't know how many times she's asked one of my kids to babysit with pay, and then never paid them. Twice there was no food in the house, and my daughter had to order DoorDash to feed my nephew. In itself, not an issue, but don't lie, just say, I can't afford to pay you, but could you help me out? She told her boss that she was missing so much work because her fiancé is a drug addict and abusive towards the kids, so she takes off the days when he doesn't work to protect their kids if he is high. Of course, her employer called CPS. Turns out she was the one with a drug issue. She went to rehab and all is well in the world again. The list goes on and on. If she says the sky is blue, you damn well better look out the window and check for yourself. Sadly, my brother chalks all this up to her struggling with addiction, but she's sober now and better, according to him. For what it's worth, she's still a shit person. If that makes me cold-hearted, then so be it. Commenter says, I hope they don't know where you live and try to break into your home or something stupid like that. Opie says, well, fortunately, our home has a gated drive-in security system, and this past spring, the township we lived in turned our road into a private gated road due to many issues with summer tourists. Initially, I'd considered removing our gate because it seemed like overkill, but now it seems like a blessing in disguise. Commenter says, she sounds like a right pain. Have a great weekend away from her mess. Also, a lack of effort in the apology, not to mention re-inviting you days before the wedding, is just childish. Good luck to your brother. Opie says, yeah, he's gonna need it. Commenter says, not the arsehole, yeah. Your brother told her to fix it and handed his balls off in the process, and your dad's enabling his bullshit. This is peak Reddit advice by a mile, but don't be surprised if they try to leave kids at your door under the guise of you're not coming so you're free, or some shit like that. Get a doorbell camera/camera that aims at the entrance to your house, so if she pulls that particular brand of bullshit, you call the cops and say that you're in a location, and then he says, I'm a college football fan myself and did not consent to the kids being dropped off, and nope. Go and have fun at the game, let them drown. My word, it's just given me this feeling that it's one of those ones that's going to go on for some time. This isn't going to be the end of this, just from the fact, the amount of lying that we've seen in that one post already, the amount of lies she's told. It just feels like it's going to escalate and escalate. And it's one of those ones, like that last commenter said, wouldn't be surprised if she just dropped the kids off at her house and then disappeared. I know they're in a gated community, so that's a lot more difficult, but it wouldn't surprise me if she actually tried. We've seen it a couple of times already. It's just wild that someone could do that. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from Wedding Day, who says, I, 25 female, was invited to a friend/co-worker's 27 female wedding, but other friends were. Unsure of how to have her stop talking to me about her big day. I met my friend Amanda at work over 3 years ago. She was new to the team, and I had the opportunity to help train her. We clicked instantly and became really good friends pretty fast. There was never any doubt in my mind that we weren't close friends, although her schedule was slightly different than mine. She gets off work an hour or two after I do. We always made plans and met up for shopping, drinks, hanging out, and double dates with our boyfriends. Obviously, we have mutual friends we work with, and we all try to have dinner together every once in a while or go out to a bar or club. I was very happy for Amanda when she got engaged to a long-time high school sweetheart just over a year ago. They're absolutely perfect for one another. When she showed me the ring, I was floored with how pretty it is. I did ask when the wedding would be, and she said late in the summer of 2017. It's coming up in August. She has spoken to me almost daily about her wedding planning process, which I'm totally fine with. One day while we were hanging out, she proactively told me that she wasn't inviting close friends/co-workers to the ceremony. She wanted a small and intimate wedding with her and her soon-to-be husband's family, and then everyone would be invited to the reception after. This seemed like a really good idea, and I said I liked that a lot. However, after she sent out invitations, 3 mutual friends/co-workers Snapchatted their invitations, and it's not just a reception-only invitation. The snaps weren't sent directly to me, but were on their story, and I just so happened to see them while clicking through stories. I was hurt that I didn't receive an invitation, even if only to the reception, but I didn't bother bringing it up to Amanda. Clearly, we weren't as close as friends as I thought, and she had already made it clear to me that she had no plans of inviting friends or co-workers. However, since she invited some other girls we work with, I figured it was just a roundabout way of her politely telling me I wasn't invited or trying to spare my feelings. However, she still talks to me daily about her wedding that's coming up in just a few months, and it makes me feel uncomfortable. She constantly talks about everything. Recently, she talked my ear off during our lunch break about her dress and then showed me all the pictures she took in it before sending it off to get it altered. It's a very pretty dress, but was a harsh reminder that I won't get to be there to see her in it or celebrate her marriage. I'm perfectly polite and engaged in our conversations when she speaks to me about her wedding, but it's the only topic that ever comes up, and any attempt to change it somehow will come straight back to a big day. I get it, she's excited, and she's allowed that, but it stings a lot. Obviously, I distance myself from hanging out with her as much because her thoughts on our friendship are/were drastically different than mine. How can I politely tell her to stop talking to me about it without hurting her feelings or having it turn nasty? And if it does turn nasty, how should I even begin to handle it? I don't think Amanda would make things nasty. She's very nice, but I don't want her to feel like I'm attacking her in any way and then would make a mountain out of a molehill. Any advice is greatly appreciated. It is. I never expected to receive as many comments or suggestions as it has. I've read every single comment thus far, and I've gained a lot of insight to the situation and how I should likely move forward. I will definitely speak up when Amanda tries to talk to me next. I will advise her that, while I'm happy for her, I have no interest in chatting about or listening to her talk about a wedding celebration that I wasn't invited to. If she tries to continue, I'll deflect it as politely or humorously as possible. If she freaks out, well, I handle that to the best of my ability. Edit 2. I'm seeing a lot of repeat comments and just want to reiterate a small fact. She's never asked for my address, nor does she know where I live and vice versa. Although we hang out a lot, it was never at each other's place. She was living with her parents until she and her fiancé bought a house recently, so she wasn't comfortable with having people over. And I live with several roommates in a shared home with my boyfriend, so I never invite people over. If she did intend to invite me, I imagine she would have asked for my address or given it to me by hand. Neither of these things happened, and with her first telling me she had no intention of inviting a particular group I fit into, I'm pretty confident she never intended to invite me from the get-go. With that said, I plan on politely nudging her to stop when she approaches me next. I'll update this when that happens. Thank you all so much for your advice. I'm just super glad that OP is going to speak up about this and be polite about it, but just saying, she'd rather not discuss the wedding that she's not invited to when she's been used as like a sounding board for quite some time now, when other co-workers have clearly been invited. It's going to be really interesting to know what she's going to say to that, but so let's find out straight away. OP comes in with an update and says, "Hello everyone. I meant to update this yesterday when I got off work, but I forgot. So here's a slightly late update on what transpired after I received a lot of great feedback and suggestions. I took my second break a little later than usual, hoping that Amanda wouldn't notice. Well, she did, and she hopped up from her desk and followed me into the break room. She said hello, asked me how I was doing for once, and before I had fully sat down to relax, began chatting about our wedding again. I waited a moment, then politely cut in with a smile and said, "Amanda, I really appreciate that you want to share all of this with me, but this talk makes me slightly uncomfortable." She looked really confused and asked me why. I was honest and told her it makes me upset that all it seems she wants to talk about to me is her wedding, and I wasn't invited. She kind of laughed it off and said, "But I didn't invite anyone from work, so it's not just you." So that comment alone made it very clear that I was intentionally excluded from her invitation list. Yes, she has every right to choose who she wants to invite to her wedding, but there's a right way and a wrong way to go about it. Telling me she was excluding a specific group that includes me, then inviting other people and lying to me about it at that point is not the right way to go about it. A simple, "Hey, I know we're friends and all, but I've made the decision not to invite you to my wedding for X reason," would have been totally okay, and I would have respected that decision 100%. I kind of gave her a weird look and said, "But you invited friend 1, 2, and 3. I saw it on their Snapchat stories a while back, unless that was a mistake. I've never seen a woman turn around so fast and bolt out of her room. She looked positively angry. I imagine she went to find all 3 of these girls and tell them that I found out. Either way, I got to enjoy the last few minutes of my break in peace. She didn't approach me for the rest of the day and avoided me as we both walked the same path to leave the building and get to the general area where we had parked our cars. Safe to say I've lost a few friends, but I'm not heartbroken about it. I'm just glad there wasn't any drama involved in me saying anything, and I'm pretty sure all 4 of them will be avoiding me from here on out. Thank you everyone who took the time to read my post and gave me some advice, both good and bad. I appreciate it. Commenter says to OP, I know this is already an update, but I am low-key and dying to know if she has even tried to approach you since then, her or her other friends. OP says I wasn't planning on logging into this account anymore, but was curious to see if this had gained any more comments. She hasn't tried to approach me at all. Neither have the other girls. It's Wednesday and usually by now we would all have spoken in some way. I proactively removed all of them from my social media accounts, so I didn't give them a chance to remove me first. And after this I was just left, why? Why was she talking to OP so much about her wedding but not planning to invite her or even consider her a friend in some ways? I don't know. I'm just left with the reason what the bloody hell is going on after this. Was she going away and talking to these other girls who are invited, the other co-workers, and talking about this about them either? Like, don't talk to her because she's not invited, but I do talk to her about the wedding. It's just so bizarre. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved, truly. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.